Welcome back. One final segment on this edition of CVTV Sports Week in Review. Thanks for hanging around with us. Mike Neville along with Tucker Warner. I'll tell you about the University of Mary Washington men's and women's basketball teams. They were in action on Wednesday night, and the women have hit a little bit of a dry spell here. They dropped their second straight Capital Athletic Conference game on Wednesday night, falling to Christopher Newport. 56-49 was the final. The Eagles squandering an 11-point halftime lead. Senior Claire Hypley leading the way with 14 points. Dropped in 11 of those 14 in the first half for Mary Washington. However, the Eagles still own sole possession of second place in the Capital Athletic Conference, and the reason that's so important with the CAC tournament coming up in a couple of weeks, if they can hold on to that second spot, they will get a first round bye into the semifinal round. So obviously it's huge. So one less game you have to play, and like I say, you're one game away from playing in the CAC championship. So
yeah, that's exactly what spot you want to be in. It would be nice if you could be number one, get that home field advantage.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Hey, what can you do? Second, fine. You get a shot right to the semifinals. That's good enough.
Yep, exactly. Now the Mary Washington men were also in action Wednesday night, and they fell to Christopher Newport University. Almost made it all the way back from a 14-point deficit in the second half, but they fall 58-54. Freshman Eric Shaw leading the way, 23 points, 8 rebounds for Mary Washington. Both teams are back in action Saturday afternoon at the Anderson Center, taking on Penn State Harrisburg. The women will tip off at 1 o'clock and the men at 3 o'clock. And if I could, I'd do a little plug. If you can't get out to the Anderson Center, you can watch the live streaming of the game on the school's website, and I'll be doing the play-by-play.
Hey, imagine that.
So just a little plug there, you know. Anyways, good luck to the University of Mary Washington men and women's basketball teams Saturday afternoon. Speaking of college basketball, a rough week for college basketball because, of course, passing of two really interesting, really two separate guys that are really approach the game differently. Talking about Dean Smith, of course, passing away for North Carolina, and Jerry Tarkanian, the Shark, passing away. But their programs were ran very differently. You know, North Carolina family-oriented, you know, and a number of NBA players, obviously. And Dean Smith, of course, recognized for his humanitarian work with civil rights and, you know, so forth. Tarkanian, did he break the rules? Possibly, you know. But it's interesting. These two guys pass away within a few days of each other. And, you know, it just boggles my mind, the contrast between the two.
Yeah, and certainly a sad week for college basketball everywhere because these two were, you know, really legends of the game. And Dean Smith especially, if you want to talk about, you know, that old cliche, like, as great as he is on the court, he's even better off of it. Well, that's, you know, one of the top 5 guys you could ever possibly think of. They're doing so much early on for civil rights in Chapel Hill, which was not exactly an integrated town at the time he got there. And before he was even the head coach, too, he was, you know, like just trying to make positive change, not only, you know, in the lives of his players, but also in his surrounding community. And that's absolutely something to be admired, in addition to the way he coached basketball, the way he really, you know, turned young kids into great men, great players, and got a lot of wins out of it too. And Tarkanian, not quite the same guy.
No, not quite.
He's not quite the paragon of, you know, fairness and did he break the rules once or twice? But still a great guy. I mean, and really, his teams were so much fun to watch. And those Runnin' Rebels, oh my goodness. With Larry Johnson, Stacey Ogman, they went to a national championship. But didn't they win it?
They won one, and I think they lost one. Either lost one or lost in the Final Four. I'm not sure which.
And I mean, you know, these guys, they really defined basketball for a certain point when each of them were coaching. Dean Smith, you know, he owned those 1970s. Those 1980s, he continued his success. Those late 80s, early 90s, that was UNLV basketball. That's just what it was at the time. And both of these guys are absolute legends of what they've done. And I don't think anybody will ever forget their contributions.
It's interesting because you talk, you know, you hear the accolades for Dean Smith, and it's really a lot of it was about his off the court, you know, with regard to, you know, civil rights and you know, sticking up for minorities and so forth, and also his graduation rate. I think it was like 96% of his players graduated. Tarkanian, on the other hand, you most of it, all the accolades were about his coaching ability on the court. So, you know, it's interesting to get those two. But hey, you know, they were both really great for the game of college basketball, because you say what you want about Tarkanian, and, you know, some guys slide in maybe that, you know, maybe they weren't academically interested, but he did give kids a chance to get a college education and maybe further themselves into the NBA, if you know.
And you look at the way that Tark's players talked about him. He was beloved among UNLV community, and I think it was, you hit the nail on the head right there, he was giving these guys a chance when maybe other schools weren't. And that's, you know, even if he did break the rules of basketball,
Right.
I think that's a very admirable thing
Oh,
that
yeah.
he did.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick, want to talk about women's basketball because I want to tell you, Connecticut, Gino Ariema, they, of course, went up against #1 ranked South Carolina, Dawn Staley, the former UVA grad, coaching South Carolina, and it wasn't even close. So Connecticut is, I'm amazed at how he just turns out team after team, championship after championship, year in and year out, Gino Ariema. And obviously, he's not the easiest coach to play for you. You know, his players, former players will tell you he's hard on him, but he certainly is reaping the benefits with all the success he's had.
Oh, yeah, and let me tell you, as a lifelong UConn fan, it is nice to have in the seasons where the men's basketball team can't compete every single year.
Right.
Well, we're just like, all right, well, let's watch the women win a national championship then.
Exactly.
And, I mean, how many stadiums for women's college teams do you see that sell out
Packed.
just about every single game?
Yep.
And they could go off campus, like the game against South Carolina, sold out. And it's just that easy for them because of what he's built here. And I think maybe only 2 or 3 other programs have really been able to say that.
Right.
Tennessee, obviously, being one of them, too. You want to talk about 2 coaches that are going to be forever linked. It's Pat Summitt and Gino Ariema.
Yeah.
But these UConn teams that he just builds, and you're right, he's not easy on his players. He works them hard. But he demands excellence, and he gets excellence.
Yep, exactly. But it's just amazing for the women's game, and it's really interesting too. The men's side and the women's side, you got domination really for Connecticut for several years, whereas the men's side pretty much parity. There might be 5, 6 teams. You say maybe they have a legitimate shot of winning a national title. You can't say that on the women's side. I mean, it's Connecticut, Notre Dame, Stanford, and now you can throw South Carolina. But really, out of those, you say, well, the top of the list goes UConn.
Yeah,
you know,
and
without a doubt.
Yeah, and it's funny. The men's team, you know, they won 4 titles in 16 years. One of the, you know, best runs in the last 30, 40 years of college basketball since John Wooden's UCLA teams kind of fell off and there was a little more parity.
Yeah.
Look at what the women are doing.
You
win a title every 4 years, and you're like so far behind the women's team that's winning like every other year, if even it takes that long.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
It's incredible. Like I said, I wanted to talk about the women's basketball programs because it's just unbelievable what he's done at UConn. Well, time is up. We have run out of time. We're going to be back with you again next week. For Tucker Warner, I'm Mike Neville. Thanks for watching CVTV Sports Week in Review. Have a great week, everybody. Yes,